prompted not by piety toward the troublesome text, but by open, aggressive, and overt contempt for appearances. So interpretation in our own time is complex. That is what it says. But when you start from here again, you realize that things are not very clear until you reach this point. This sentence is a bit murky, and the meaning does not come out very clearly. The contemporary zeal for the project of interpretation is often prompted not by piety toward the troublesome text, but by an open aggressiveness and overt contempt for appearances. The old style of interpretation was insistent but respectful. So this I understand. The old style of interpretation was respectful. It erected another meaning on top of the literal one. The modern style of interpretation excavates, and as it excavates, it destroys, it digs behind the text to find a subtext, which is the true one, right? So here, until this point, I get to know that the author seems to be talking about interpretation. Interpretation in the good old days what was respectful, but now it has become somewhat troublesome. Uh, it is more oriented towards destroying and excavating rather than something else, which was respectful in the good old days. The most celebrated and influential modern doctrines, those of Marx and Freud, actually amount to elaborate systems of hermeneutics, aggressive and impious theories of interpretation. So again, you don't know what exactly this means. But what I understand is that the most celebrated doctrines, those of Marx and Freud, uh, amount to theories of interpretation, impious theories. I don't know what it is, but they also have some sort of theories of interpretation. All observable phenomena are bracketed in Freud's phrase as manifest content. Manifest basically means visible, visible on the surface. This manifest content must be probed and pushed aside to find the true meaning, the latent content beneath. So there is something called as manifest content. There is something called as latent content beneath the manifest content. For Marx, social events like revolutions and wars. For Freud, the events of individual lives like neurotic symptoms and slips of the tongue, as well as texts like dream or work of art, are all treated as occasions for interpretation. So everything needs interpretation for Marx and even for Freud. According to Marx and Freud, these events only seem to be intelligible. Actually, they have no meaning without interpretation. That means everything from the outside seems to be clear. Intelligible means basically clear. But then they have no meaning unless you interpret. To understand is to interpret, and to interpret is to restate the phenomena in effect to find an equivalent for it. So basically, this entire paragraph is about what it means interpretation. What is interpretation? Interpretation has been discussed very elaborately. Marx and Freud also have been mentioned as if they also talk about interpretation of different things. And then it goes on to say about interpretation in the old days was respectful, now it is destructive. Uh, Interpretation basically means manifest content. Uh, all observable phenomena is manifest. Interpretation is going to give you the latent meaning behind that. Something like this. So we know that the entire paragraph seems to be talking about interpretation, what it means, and so on and so forth. Thus, interpretation is not an absolute value, a gesture of mind situated in some timeless realm of capabilities. It is not a gesture of mind which is timeless. Interpretation must itself be evaluated within a historical view of human consciousness. In some cultural contexts, interpretation is a liberating act. It is a means of revising, transvaluing, escaping the dead past. In other cultural contexts, it is reactionary. So, what is interpretation? It is basically constant reevaluation, transvaluing, escaping from the dead past. It is a liberating act. In some culture, it might be even called as stifling, cowardly, impertinent, or reactionary. So if you ask me what is the central idea of the passage, it talks about what is interpretation, what is the meaning of interpretation, what interpretation meant to Marx and Freud, what interpretation was in the past, what it is in the present, and so on and so forth. Nothing complicated, though we did have lots of complicated terms here and there. Now, vocabulary can be a problematic thing for many of us. Like, for example, the word intelligible. There are many words here and there, which you see are not very clear to you. But then it should not be too much of a trouble. There are certain words, if you know the clear meaning of those terms, it will definitely help you better understand the passage. But then see, understand, if you start finding the words and then solving the RC, you are actually creating problems for yourself. Because in the exam, you will not have time enough to find the meanings of the words and then go ahead and solve the questions. So when you have read the passage for the first time, there is no need for you to look at the meanings of the words. Go and directly try to solve the question with whatever you know, with whatever knowledge you have about the vocabulary. So what does the author mean when he says, thus interpretation is not a gesture of mind situated in some timeless realm of capabilities? So interpretation is not something which is timeless. In the sense, what does it mean? It basically means that interpretation is not timeless. It can be always done again and again. Maybe that is what he means. That interpretation is revising, transvaluing, escaping, it is reactionary, it is stifling, it is not something which is timeless. What is timeless, by the way? Anything that is timeless is permanent. Like, for example, timeless work of art. So many of you might visit the pyramids of Egypt, and you might say this is a timeless work of art. Why timeless? Because why timeless? Because it can go on till for centuries altogether, right? Just a moment. Huh? Are you getting my point, everyone? So if it is not a timeless, then what exactly it is? Which option do you think is the best? Of course, when you say it is not timeless, then you can't say it is developed by timeless experts. On the one hand, you say it is not timeless. In the option, you come and say it is developed by timeless experts. That is, it is paradoxical. You deny something here and then you come and mark the exact opposite of that. Interpretation is about erecting another meaning on top of it. Maybe possible. I don't deny this. And interpretation is an act of mind which is situated in a changeless domain. Again, it is changing domain, not a changeless domain. So this also goes out. Interpretation is about revising and reinventing things. Maybe just like B, D is also equally good. Interpretation is being evaluative of the meaning. See, understand why do you, it is being evaluative, right? But why always by an authority? Why can't something, see, there could be lots of things that have no authority. See, when I say interpret something, that means try to understand something. That something could also be having no authority. So this problem this is a little problem. Interpretation is being evaluative of what? Of the meaning. Of the meaning of a particular phenomena. Why necessarily always an authority? So this also becomes a little problematic for me. I have A, B, and D. Sorry, I will eliminate E. I have B and D as better choices because one says interpretation is about erecting another meaning on top of the literal one. Interpretation is about revisiting and reinventing things. Now, between B and D, which ones have you chosen? There are four people who have given the answer. Most of them have said C or D. That's right. Either it is B or D, not C or D. It is B or D, right? C, I have eliminated because I have said that changeless domain is not what I want. Timeless, changeless means permanent. But then it is basically not timeless. If it is not timeless, see, understand the interpretation is not timeless. That is how you have to read. So B and D, out of B and D, see, if you ask me B, the wording of B is not as good as the wording of D. D has better wording. Interpretation is about erecting another meaning. Why can't you erect one more meaning about that meaning? See, when you are revising, when you are transvaluing, there is no limit to the number of times you can do that. You can keep on revising as much as you want. People have written so many commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, on the Quran, on the Bible. You can keep on writing as many commentaries you want, and you can keep on interpreting it in as many ways as you want. So it is not that another meaning on top of the literal word. You can have so many meanings. So what I feel is interpretation is about revisiting and reinventing meanings. You keep on doing that. So D, again, say, understand, B and D, there's not much of a difference. What D does is basically it puts the right word, the ones that I see in the paragraph. That's why I would call D as a very close approximate of what the author wants to say. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? It's a close approximation of what the author has said in the last paragraph. That is the reason why I mark D as my answer. Everyone agrees that this is how you would have gone ahead and taken this question. Anna. Second question, let's try to see the second one. According to the passage, Which of the following is not an act of interpretation? Which of the following do you think is not an act of again, you cannot see, there is no need to go to the passage. Even the earlier question also, there was no need to go to the passage except for the last part. So the whole idea of understanding the passage and then going ahead and attacking the question is basically foolishness. This is what we learned in CAT also, that there is many a time there is no need to understand the passage completely. Look at this. Which of the following is not an act of interpretation? So can I say investigating class conflict in Charles Dickens novels can be an act of interpretation? See, what exactly Marx and Freud have to say? Marx and Freud, they both have to say that the phenomena that you see on the outside is a manifest phenomena. There is something below that. So Marx says that all social things needs to be investigated. Freud says all the mental things needs to be investigated. So can I say that investigating class conflict in novels is a kind of interpretation? Finding underlying causes of a social evil in a book is also an interpretation. Searching for underlying themes in a historical document is also interpretation. And critical appreciation of a literary text. See, understand, critical appreciation is as good as finding underlying class causes or investigating class. In fact, if you look at this option, A is equal to B is equal to C. This is what I say it will happen in many of the questions. When you see that A is equal to B is equal to C, then none of them can be the right answer, because if A, then why not B? If B, then why not C? That basically means the answer has to be D and E, and D is also a close equivalent of what we have in C and ABC. So answer has to be E, labeling a text as blasphemous. Because labeling a text as blasphemous is nothing but giving an opinion about something rather than an interpretation, rather than an act of interpretation. Giving an opinion is not the same as critical appreciation or searching or finding or investigating. Labeling, you can label me as a thief if you want. You can call me whatever you want. If some person does something which is against the religious belief of people, you can say it is blasphemous, but that is not the same as interpretation. I hope you understand that Y is the right answer. Straightforward elimination, odd one out kind of a question. Yes or no? See, lots and lots of questions, people, you have to go by common sense. I have been repeating this time and again, right from the CAT days, that many of you, by overtraining yourself, by over studying, over solving, over preparation, you actually kill your own natural ability to logically think. I mean, as a teacher, I believe that there has to be some natural ability to think logically, and that can be of great help in an exam like aptitude tests, where sometimes the options are put so smartly that you just look at them and then say that this is something which is common sense. See, if you look at A, B, C, and D, and if I go by what is the meaning of interpretation as per the passage, then E is not an interpretation. It is not an act of interpretation. Basically, it is an opinion about something or someone. Interpretation basically means, sir, but I would have also considered option A, everything is no mention of. No option. See, you can interpret anything. You can interpret anything. You can interpret Charles Dickens novels because he talks about class conflict, which is a social conflict. You can interpret. The question does not say that you have to pick the facts from the passage and then it says that investigating class conflict. It could be Charles Dickens novels. It could be any book. It could be any social phenomena. So we have to understand that what is an act of interpretation? An act of interpretation is careful study of something. Yes or no? If you ask me what is interpretation, it is careful study. Without careful study, there is no interpretation possible. So if you label something as blasphemous, maybe the process of interpretation was not there at all. है. You are investigating, you are finding, you are searching, you are appreciating. Critical appreciation means what? Not appreciation in the positive sense where you praise someone. Critical appreciation basically means analysis. That is what the word appreciation means here. है ना? कई बार सुना होगा आप लोगों ने, you must have heard this, you need to appreciate the problem. Appreciate the problem basically means acknowledge the problem rather than praise it. So the word appreciation also has one more meaning apart from the conventional this. The conventional meaning of the word appreciation is, of course, the way we use it to praise something or someone. है ना? Yes, even if you praise it, would be still an appreciation. You're praising someone. है ना? So praising can be very generalized way of looking at it. But here appreciation as a word, the way it has been used means that you're trying to assess something, analyze something, understanding a situation or a problem. So the reason why I mark E is because labeling a text as, if you are labeling something, see, Labeling is not a problem. You can say one incident on social media and you can label it as a crime. That's it. Did you understand? Labeling is not the same. Do you think that you can label me as a coward? There is one small incident in my life and you can label me as a coward. Labeling is not the same as investigating, finding, searching. See, understand. I mean, I hope you understand how the word labeling is different from all the other activities done in A, B, and C and D. You can't just label. What is labeling? You label someone as a coward. Labeling is basically blaming or judging someone. That is what the word implies. Did you understand? It's not. It doesn't need a thorough study of something. That is why it is the odd one out. Otherwise, you will have tough time finding the answer then, because in every option there is something good happening. In one you are investigating, in the other you are finding underlying causes, in one you are searching, you are other in one you are critically appreciating. So why not labeling then? If that is the case, then I don't have any answer, to be very honest, because in all the other options something good is happening or something is happening. So how would you find the answer then? That means you have to look at the word and understand in which of the following actions interpretation is actually happening. Interpretation is not a passing of judgment, it is basically understanding of something. Are you getting my point? In none of the option A, B, and C and D judgments have been passed. It is basically trying to understand something, trying to understand the themes, trying to understand the causes, trying to understand the conflict. Here you are coming and saying, let's label it as a blasphemous thing. You are judgmental rather than being interpretative. Are you getting my point? That's the reason why it is the odd one out. Are we clear about it? Otherwise, all the actions are interpretative then we can't mark any of the options. We can leave the question then. Because if you say that, why not the others? I would say, well, in all the others, there is no understanding involved as such. You know what is blasphemous? Does anyone know the meaning of the word blasphemous, by the way? Hmm? Blasphemous means, suppose if a religious text says that God does not, okay, understand the word, God does not have a form. Let's say a religious text of a particular religion, any religion, says that God does not have a form. You come and say, no, God has a form. Galileo said that the earth revolves around the sun, right? The church called him as blasphemous. Why? Because the Bible said the sun revolves around the earth. The Bible said that the earth is the center of the universe and everything else revolves around it. Galileo came and said, no, earth is revolving around the sun. And the church called him blasphemous. Do you think it is an act of interpretation? Do you think that this is an act of interpretation when the church says, Galileo, that you are a blasphemer? Whatever you have said is blasphemous because your statement is against what the Bible says. Do you think that this is an act of interpretation by the church? Hmm? It is not. Because the religious text says God does not have a form. I come and say, no, God has a form. You are against the word of God, so you are a blasphemer. This is not interpretation. This is pure passing of judgment. That's the reason why you have to not only understand other things, but to understand what the meaning of the word blasphemous. To call someone a blasphemer, you don't need to be an interpreter of something. You just need to say what he says is not given in the religious text, so you are lying. You are against the word of God, you are a blasphemer. This is not an act of interpretation. This is an act of passing a judgment. See, understand, that's why it is very, very important that you take into account not just the word labeling, but also when do you call someone a blasphemer? Someone is a blasphemer only when he goes against the word of God as per a religion. That's what the word blasphemer means. Many of you, I wonder how many of you know the meaning of the word to blaspheme. Blaspheme is a word, and blasphemer is the one who blasphemes, and blasphemous is an adjective. Which of the following best differentiates the word manifest content and latent content? What is manifest? That is visible from the outside. है Cancerous cells manifest themselves as small acne on the face. So manifest themselves means what? To show themselves from the outside. The latent means hidden. What is the answer? The answer is B. If your vocabulary is very good, people always, God will come and save you in VARC. But if your vocabulary is poor, then God can, even God, no one can save you. because the understanding is not there. That's why the understanding of the text goes for a toss. Are we clear, everyone? Yes or no? समझ में आ रहा है ना? Let's go to the next one now. There's a poem. And what people do when there is a poem, they start practicing poems. They think that now practicing of poems will save your life. Let me tell you one thing. There is no poem and no practicing of poem is going to make you smart. And you have to just take it as another VARC. Another RC, the way you would have gone and taken another RC. I mean, see, you have to read the entire thing, right? Whatever you see, whatever you understand, use that as an option elimination, and you can get the question correct if the question is doable. If the question is very difficult and not doable, no amount of practicing is going to help you. Please understand this. Let's read the poem here. The slow person you left behind when finally you mastered the world and scaled the heights you now command, where is he while you walked around the shaved lawn in your plus force? What is plus force here? Car, maybe, right? The plus force could be a car. So the slow person you left behind. So it's quite possible that there is a slow person who was there with you. You left him behind, and now you have gone far ahead in your life, having a great career, great success. Maybe that is what he's trying to say. Or it's quite possible that this slow person could be your childhood. It could be the other self of you. We don't know. It can go both the ways. This slow person can be the other side of you. This slow person could also be your friend. So it is open to interpretation. Some of you would say, no, it is the friend. Some of you would say, no, it is the same person whose past has been discussed here. Oh, I have come across him. Yes, I have more than once. Coaxing his battered grocery cart down the freeway meridian, others see in you sundry mythic types distinguished not just in themselves but by stories we put in with beginnings, ends, and surprises. The baby Oedipus on the hillside with his broken feet, or the dog whose barking saves the grandmother, flailing in the mill pond beyond the weir, dragged down by her woolen skirt. कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. And I don't understand anything, to be very honest. ठीक है. So I have come across him. Yes, I have more than once coaxing his battered grocery. So this person is there doing something. I don't know who he is, where he is. He doesn't see you as a story, though. He feels you as his atmosphere, right? He doesn't see you as a story. He feels you as his atmosphere. What do you mean by this, by the way? How can you be someone's atmosphere? You can be someone's atmosphere when it is the same part of you. My childhood is not a story. My childhood is my atmosphere. Why? Sorry, I am the atmosphere of my childhood. Why? Because my childhood is there. See, I was small, I have become big. So when I have become big, this is the entire atmosphere, the me, and within that, I have my childhood. So maybe from this, we get to know that the person that is being talked about, the slow person, is none other than the past of the person. In the past, he was something. In the present, he's something else. And maybe there is some sort of comparison going on between the two. That is what I understand. When your sun shines, he chortles. When your barometric pressure drops and the thunder heads gather, right? He huddles under the overpass and writes me long letters with the sturdy little pencil he steals from the public library. He asks me to look out for you. So, from these sentences, I get to know that it is the same person. There's a past of him. The present is something different. And maybe the past and the present are being reconciled. That is what I get to know broadly. So, there are no two different people. There is the same person. One is in the present, the other is the past that he has carried on with him. Chalo. Which of the following best captures the theme of the poem? Which one do you think could be the best answer? Now you have to use your elimination and also, to some degree, your understanding of the of the passage. Now, see, when I use elimination, what I know is that there is no loss of trust because there is no negativity. He asks me to look out for you. He huddles under the overpass and writes me long letters. So why would he do that if there is loss of trust? Correct, right? And why this rich and poor? They are no two different people. So I know that A and C don't make sense. The poem is celebrating success, but where is the mourning of losses happening? There is no losses. I don't see anywhere that there is losses are. In fact, I don't see losses anywhere actually, and that's why there is no meaningless brooding over the past. So even this also does not look good. I mean, in fact, out of all the option, D is the best. The poem is analyzing a person's past and present. I haven't arrived at the answer because of my understanding. I have arrived at the answer because there are certain words in each of the option that don't make sense to me, which I feel is somewhat correct. Brood is negative. Did you understand now? Lives means there are two people, but there are no two people. There is only one person. So this goes out because of lives. This goes out because of loss of trust. This goes out because meaningless. Well, the author has not said it is meaningless brooding anywhere. So this also goes out. Out of B and D, I would choose D because there is not much of evidence for mourning of losses and celebration of success. Did you understand now? So what happens is my understanding of the poem is one thing. My understanding is one thing. My options will help me arrive at the right answer. So I treat the poems as just another RC. Did you understand, everyone? That's why don't make a big fuss about the poems, that you start solving poems, not start looking out for poems. Which of the following statements best interprets the lines? He doesn't see you uh, as a story, he feels you as his atmosphere. Your present subsumes your past. So which ones will go out definitely? See, option elimination. Firstly, haunted. You know, not a narrative. Well, you are a narrative. Why it is not a narrative? Correct. D and C has gone out. E has, you are larger than life. You are his atmosphere, and then you see you're larger than life. So either it has to be you are an extension of the past or your present. See, I like the word present because the poem has compared. He doesn't see you as a story. He feels you as his atmosphere. That means the present has been actually emphasized in the poem. When you say you are an extension of the past, that means, I mean, it also makes sense in the sense that the past is a part of you. This also means that the past is a part of you. So your present subsumes the past, means whatever your present is, it carries along with it the past. Correct. Yes, yes. That is what means. To subsume means to include. So your present includes the past. That is what he's trying. In fact, what I like here in option B is that the word present has been emphasized. He doesn't see you as a story. He feels you as his atmosphere. That means you're not something that you are disconnected. You are something which is connected. That's the reason why the word subsume makes sense, because to subsume means to include, and therefore when you say that you are his atmosphere, that means basically you are one entire package. They are not two separate things. That's why your presence subsumes the past. It makes sense in the sense, see, it is very difficult sometimes. See, what happens is when you have these kind of abstract questions, logically arguing over it would be a very painful thing. But when you say that you are my atmosphere, that means we are not two separate things. So you are included in that. The past is included in the present. That's why subsumes makes more sense. And here, the extension of the past, you are an extension, but rather saying you, I would say that the present is an extension of the past. So rather than using the word you, I would say the present, or I would say your present. I would have considered this choice better if it had come like this. Your present is an extension of the past, or your present subsumes the past, rather than you saying here. Something like this. Again, it's a very subtle choice of words, but that's how it is. Clear, everyone? I hope you have understood now. So this is the way you have to treat the poems. You don't see, the moment you psychologically start treating something as different, then you start trying to find ways of doing something differently, but that is not what is required. You just understand the poem the way it is. If your understanding is very much approximate to what the, and sometimes the questions are deliberately designed easy so that you score marks. So when you have too much of confusion, you can leave the question, right? There is no hard and fast rule that you have to solve every question just because it is a VARC section. Please read it. Anna? So we have 21, 22, 23, and then we have three questions for from one more RC. The last one is very simple. Shall we read this, people? Chalo, let's read it, huh? Socrates believed that akrasia, meaning procrastination, was strictly speaking impossible, since we could not want what is bad for us. If we act against our own interests, it must be because we don't know what is right. So can I say this is ignorance? If we act against our own interest, when you are procrastinating, you are acting against your own interest, and it is because we don't know what is right. So Socrates says that procrastination is impossible, because why would you want to do something that is bad for you? And if you're doing it, it is because you don't know what is right, or you are ignorant of what is right. Correct? Socrates has said this about procrastination. Lowenstein similarly is inclined to see the procrastinator as led astray by the visceral rewards of the present. Visceral means emotional rewards of the present. Cricket match is going on, a very good contest between India and Australia, and you also have to write a mock test. So the the present emotional reward is going to be much more than the writing of the mock tests, and that's why you would procrastinate it. As the 19th century Scottish economist John Ray put it, the prospects of future good which future years may hold on us seem at such a moment dull and dubious. The future good means getting a seat in IIM is basically now dubious and dull. Right now, the cricket match is very important. Are you getting my point? Because that cricket match is very much within your grasp right now. It is much more appealing to your emotions rather than the seat in the IIM, which is much, much far away. Lowenstein also suggests that our memory for the intensity of visceral rewards is deficient. Your memory for the intensity of the visceral award is deficient. Why? Why is it deficient? Because when we put off preparing for that meeting by telling ourselves that we will do it tomorrow, we fail to take into account that tomorrow the temptation to put off work will be just as strong. So last time you told yourself that no, kal to pakka ek mock likhunga. Then the next day you had something else to do. Something much more interesting and exciting came your way. And then again you postponed. So the author, Lowenstein, says that our memory of intensity of reward is deficient, very poor, because he kept on postponing many times, endlessly. Had your memory not been deficient, you would have realized that the last time you did not do it, so there is no guarantee that you would do it again. Ignorance might also affect procrastination. So there is cases of ignorance. Here also you have ignorance that might affect procrastination through what the social scientist John Elster calls the planning fallacy. Elster thinks that people underestimate the time it will take them to complete a given task, partly because they fail to take into account how long it has been taken them to complete similar projects in the past, and partly because they rely on smooth scenarios in which accidents or unforeseen problems never occur. So planning fallacy is a problem because of the underestimation of the amount of time they would take, and planning fallacy is also a problem, that is basically ignorance about time, and that also might affect procrastination as per the second paragraph, right? So what is the paragraph all about? Procrastination because of certain reasons. Socrates has to say something, Lowenstein has to say similar thing. Ignorance is also there, planning fallacy is there. I mean, these are the reasons why people procrastinate. So what happens is, I know that the paragraph is not difficult. I mean, see, it is a bit abstract, but to understand it, to appreciate it, you don't need to be a linguistic genius. Okay? Shall I go ahead and take the questions? Chalo, फटाफट question लेते हैं. Let's see. Uh, Question number one. What do you think? According to the passage, in regard to time, always understand the question. In regard to time, which of the following statements is the best reason for procrastination? So the author has discussed that in the last paragraph, that if time is featuring in as a reason for procrastination, what could it be? What is your answer? Answers, please. Some cat 25 people have come. I by mistake dropped the link in their class. No, no issues, I think. Okay, okay. Everyone says that, you see, understand. Now, whenever you say that it is with regard to time, you all know that the answer is there in the last paragraph, right? Because that is the only place where the time discussion has come. So let's go with the linear way of finding the answer. The way we would have gone ahead. What it says, ignorance might also affect procrastination through what the social scientist John Elster calls the planning fallacy. Elster thinks that people underestimate the time. So the first thing that has come is people underestimate the time it will take them to complete the task, partly because they fail to take account of how long it has taken them to complete similar projects in the past, and partly because they rely on smooth scenarios in which, ठीक है चलो भाई बढ़िया है, they rely on smooth scenarios, they underestimate the amount of time. So, what do you think? Time is taken as as linear in the task? See, when the word underestimate has been given to you, and the word underestimate has come in one of the options, then why should you say that time is taken as linear? Rather, task is taken as linear. Because what happens here is that they rely on smooth scenarios in which accidents or unforeseen problems never occur. So what you are doing is you're not taking the time as linear thing. You are taking the task as linear. There is no ups and downs. So this is a mistake actually. The task is taken as linear. What is linear? Linear means it will go on smoothly, but it is not going to be smooth. It is going to be like this. So option A is incorrect. Rather than saying that time is taken as linear, task is taken to be linear. That's why people sometimes have to procrastinate. Time is taken into account, but the underestimation is done. What is not taken into account is how long it will take. Time is taken into account, but how long will it take is not taken into account. Maybe the time and estimation is time is not planned according to the task. You should have it vice versa, people. Task is not planned according to the time. ऐसा होना चाहिए ना. This would be correct, है ना? Do you plan do you plan time or do you plan the task? Huh? See, this is what I want all of you to develop common sense. If someone tells me that time is not planned according to the task, I would say, my God, how can you plan time? Time is constant. When you go to write your exam, XAT, time is constant. You don't plan your time, you plan you plan the activities that you would do within a certain time frame. Is everyone clear about it? D is the answer. समझ में आ रहा है? Everyone. Funny. It can be really funny that you're planning time according to the task. You manage time. You don't plan time because it's a fixed resource. You cannot do anything with it. Which of the following can be best inferred from the passage? What is, see, this was a question that I felt is little wrong in the sense that there are many things that can be inferred. C can be inferred, there is no doubt about it. It is an act, this also is an inference. Yeah? It is not a success, therefore B goes out. See, when you procrastinate, how can it be a success? It is a mistake that happens to my, but not because of, see, when you think linearly, it is actually a good thing. See, I will tell you one thing. It is a mistake that happens due to myopic vision. What is myopic vision? Myopic vision means right now I want to enjoy the cricket match. I don't want to think about tomorrow. So in that case, you would procrastinate. But then this myopic vision does not go well with linear thinking. Are you getting my point, everyone? So this is incorrect. It is an irrational delay of task despite potential. So this can also see what happens is C is something that is inferable from the entire passage. A can be inferred from the first paragraph because it is an act against our interest because of ignorance. You don't know what is going to hurt you and not going to hurt you. And also in the last paragraph, the first sentence talks about this. So C is specifically apt from the passage, and A is something mm, that is broadly there. I found it to be tough to say that why C is not the answer because I feel that everywhere you are procrastinating and it is a tendency of postponing the present work to the future. So this I felt was something which maybe what's disagreeable to me. I know that A is definitely an inference. There is nothing wrong with A, but C is also a sort of inference that can be derived because you are postponing, after all, the present work to the future. Maybe what it needed was it is a tendency of postponing, tendency to unnecessarily postpone. Irrational delay is what maybe would be a better word. But this question, I did not know why. Yeah, why this question came first of all, because C is equal to A is equal to D. To be very honest, there's not much to choose from, and I can't do anything about such questions. है ना? Chalo, let's go to the next one now. Which of the following is maybe, but see, that is a very fine difference. On the basis of this minute differences, you cannot choose your answers because otherwise, then we will have lots of questions to debate unnecessarily. Maybe there would be something, but it is an act of procrastination is an act. Maybe it's a tendency. Very fine choice of words, है ना? The answer given is A. The answer given is A, but it's a surprising thing, you know. Matlab, I don't see when something is not very much digestible to me, I would admit it very openly that this is not something digestible to me. So I don't know how it is. Maybe you also should just smile at it and go to the next question rather than discussing it too much unnecessarily. Okay? Which of the following is the meaning of that comes closest to what is the meaning of this, and which one do you think is very close to this? Please use your thinking and tell me. Now, this is there is no need to go back to the passage because it says our memory for the intensity of visceral rewards is deficient. What it means? Your memory is deficient means what? You don't remember. And what you don't remember? You have visceral rewards. That means very emotionally appealing reward in the present. I gave the example of cricket match. It is very entertaining, very interesting cricket match. You have a plan to write a mock, but because the match became very interesting, you procrastinate to tomorrow. Tomorrow again you have some sort of Wimbledon match going on. So you will again procrastinate to the next day. So you keep on doing why? Because you don't remember that the last time when you did it, you did not. So the memory is very poor. So what do you think? Huh? Which one do you think is most correctly in the contextual sense? Read all the options. And which one presents the correct context? Please tell me. Read all the options and just check and see which one is very close to what the passage wants to suggest in the context, right? Our brain does not support us in recalling intense memories while procrastinating further. Our memory is deficient. That means we should have had the memory. Yes or no? When something is deficient, that means it should have been there. We should have had the memory. Only then the word deficient makes sense. See, when the doctor says that there is deficiency of vitamin A, that means you need vitamin A. But if the doctor says there is deficiency of cancer cells, then what would you say to the doctor? Can you imagine a doctor saying that there is deficiency of cancer cells in your body? So you would be surprised. You would say, sir, well, I don't need cancer cells. So why should you say that it is a deficiency? So when you say that our memory for the intensity of visceral rewards is deficient, that means we should have had the memory. Desirably, we should have had. So if you should have had the memory, then for what purpose? Hmm? Anna, let's go to the passage now, and I will show you what exactly he means. What does it he say? Look at this. As 19th, so let's start from here. Socrates believed that akrasia was strictly speaking impossible because we don't want what is bad for us. Lowenstein similarly is inclined to see the procrastinator as led astray. The procrastinator is led astray. Astray means bhatka na usko. Lowenstein is inclined to see the procrastinator as led astray by the visceral rewards of the present. Visceral means very appealing emotionally. As in 19th century Scottish economist John Gray put it, the prospects of future good which future years may hold on us seem at such moment dull and dubious. Lowenstein also suggests that our memory for the intensity of visceral rewards is deficient. When we put off preparing for that meeting by telling ourselves that we will do it tomorrow, we fail to take into account that tomorrow the temptation to put off the work will be just as strong. So, tomorrow, if you put off the work today, tomorrow also the temptation to put off the work would be equally strong, right? So, you want to go to a gym, sorry, you want to go to the gym to reduce your weight. It's very cold morning. So, today, what do you think is you put on the alarm at 7 o'clock, the alarm goes off. You shut it down and say, "Arey, kal to pakka jayenge." Maybe the coziness of the blanket was such that you did not want to get up in the morning. But your memory is deficient. The visceral rewards, which is the present, which in the present means very nice, good, cozy sleep. Tomorrow, if your memory is not deficient, you will remember that yesterday also I made the same mistake. So you would continue. You will not continue. You would go ahead to the gym. But if your memory is deficient, you will again make the same mistake. Did you understand now what exactly he means to say that your memory is deficient? That means memory is desirable in this case. Memory is desirable of what? You should not postpone. है ना? So which option do you think is, हाँ पूछो, now you have a doubt, right? So let's look at all the options. ठीक है? Our brain does not support us in recalling intense memories. Are you recalling the intense memories literally? Or are you recalling the procrastination? Means if our brain had that power, we would think twice to. Yes, if your brain could recall that last time you procrastinated because of some reason, if you could recall that today, then you would refrain from postponing again, right? Procrastinating again. So if our memory was not deficient, then we would have actually stopped from procrastinating again. है ना? If this deficiency was not there, can I say you would have stopped from procrastinating? If this deficiency was not there, can I say you would have stopped from procrastinating? That means if the deficiency is there, then you do not have something that can stop you. है ना? Exact reversal of this. If this deficiency was not there, then the brain would have supported. But because this deficiency is there as per the passage, the brain does not support you to. Did you understand now how it is going? So this is the exact capturing of what is happening here. That's why the word deficiency makes sense. The deficiency is there, therefore the brain does not stop. If the deficiency was not there, the brain would have stopped you. Clear, everyone? What happens in this case is I understand what he is trying to say. Now, when you go to all the other option, our brain does not support us in recalling intense memories. So you are procrastinating something and you have intense memories of your childhood. Does it gel? Did you understand now? Our brain does not support us in recalling intense memories. Which kind of memories are you talking about? The pleasant memories of the past? which have nothing to do with procrastination as such. So this is not making sense. All the options are, clumsily worded, does not differentiate memories, as if you have amnesia. The brain does not capture the intensity of the pleasure. Just imagine the kind of nonsense we are acting. Is everyone clear about it? See, the structuring of the option also has to be logical. It should not be something that doesn't make any sense. If the brain does not capture the intensity of the pleasure that you get by procrastination, then next time you would not procrastinate. So this is desirable. The why do call it as deficiency? If the brain does not capture the intensity of pleasure that you got by procrastination, that means the next time you would not procrastinate. That means there is no deficiency. It automatically you will not procrastinate. So if you look at all the meanings that come out, all they're funny, they're comical. I don't know what exactly they are trying to say. This one makes sense. Our brain does not support us with memories, and these memories would have actually stopped you from procrastinating. But because there is deficiency, it is not supporting you. Had this deficiency not been there, it would have supported you, and you would not have procrastinated further. Clear to everyone? Yes or no? Tick. These are all painful questions. Painful in the sense you read the option and you say how to apply the logic. There is no logic. See, this is a sentence. In the context, all of these are trying to convey the meaning. The clearest meaning comes from E. All the others are either funny or comical or they don't make any sense to me. ठीक है? चलो. It is harder and harder to make sense of life. है ना? It is harder and harder to make sense of life. Everything is changing all the time at a faster and faster pace. Our civilization is struggling to keep up with exponential technology and disruptive change. Our age old institutions, politics, economics, ethics, and even our environment are so fundamentally challenged that we risk collapse. Our stories have gotten so divorced from reality, so divisive, so inflexible, and so inept to adapt and to explain our present, let alone guide us towards a better future, that we often feel like helpless passengers on a Titanic spaceship Earth. No wonder Aristotle observed that when the storytelling goes bad in society, the result is decadence. What do you mean by storytelling, by the way, here? Huh? What is the meaning of the word storytelling? Please tell me. See, you have to understand the you have to interpret now here. The storytelling is not the sort of storytelling that your parents did to you when you were a child, but there is some relation. Storytelling basically means the moral theme or the central theme of a society. So, for example, if I say that the storytelling goes bad in a society, that could mean is that the moral theme, the moral foundation of a society goes bad. Now, you might ask me, sir, in modern days, what do you think is the storytelling of a society? Well, in modern days, the storytelling is basically what? Sense of achievement. Everyone should have a sense of achievement. Everyone should have a sense of purpose. Everyone should try to make money, make career. This is the modern theme of modern society. So the storytelling of modern society is based around that theme. That's why this contemporary storytelling was not there 50 years ago, where career and money making, your individual net worth, all these things were not discussed. So, what is storytelling? Storytelling is basically a central life theme which is fed to people across the globe, not just in India or not only to CAT aspirants, but to everyone in general. Become a super achiever. Even before you are 15 or 16 years of age, you should be a super achiever. That is the storytelling that we have in current society right now. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, we don't know. Time will tell. Are you getting my point? So the word storytelling here means that thing rather than the kind of cock and bull stories which your grandparents told you when you were a child. Did you understand? So the storytelling goes bad, the result is decadence. है ना? If the storytelling is not good, society decays, it collapses. But why is the case? And perhaps more importantly, how is it that bad storytelling can keep, if not bring, a whole society down? Is that not simply overstating the power of a story, the power of story? Literary theorist Kenneth Burke famously noted stories are equipment for human living. We need storytelling in order to make certain sense out of life. If that is true, then our equipment for living has gone obsolete. And unless we upgrade it, we are going to go obsolete too. It was this process that Fred Pollack had in mind in 1961 while observing any student of the rise and the fall of cultures cannot fail to be impressed by the role played in this historical succession by the image of the future. The rise and fall of images precede or accompany the rise and fall of cultures. As long as a society's image is positive and flourishing, the flower of culture is in full bloom. Once the image begins to decay and lose its vitality, however, the culture does not long survive. That is why we desperately need a new story. A story that will not only help us to make sense of the world today, but also unite us as a species of human beings. A story that will motivate us to stop bickering, resolve our common problems, a story that will inspire us to achieve our common goals and guide us towards better future for all sentient beings on our planet. We have to rewrite the human story because the old stories that brought us thus far are no longer useful. They have lost their vision and grandeur. They have become petty and short sighted. They are stuck in a past that never was at the expense of a future that can be. They divide us and keep us bickering while our civilization is facing unprecedented diversity and depth of existential challenges. Those stories are not simply our history, they are now our chains, and unless we break them, they will be our death sentence. What is the passage talking about? That we need a new story, right? So it is worth exploring if how new stories, good stories, can bring us up. The human story that brought us into the 21st century was written and rewritten several times. The latest major update was perhaps during the Industrial Revolution. It is time to rewrite it again. We need a new story, a brave story, an unreasonable story, a story that can inspire. What is the meaning of unreasonable here? Can anyone tell me? All those who are sitting here, please tell me what is the meaning of the word unreasonable? Hmm? Batao, batao, batao. What is the meaning of the word unreasonable? See, one meaning is not having any reason. But do you think that without reason is this? I mean, in a very positive context. Now, this is where interpretation becomes very important. People always understand this. You say brave story, you say inspiration, and then you say unreasonable. How can the word without reason be the meaning of this? How can bravery and inspiration have something which is unreasonable in between? It means that unreasonable is not used here in the sense that without reason. It basically means emotional, passionate. Have you seen passionate people? Can I say they are unreasonable? Fantastic. You know what is fantastic? Unrealistic, but great nevertheless. Did you understand now? Fantastic also means unrealistic, but in a positive sense. Unreasonable here also means not oriented in reason, but in emotion and passion. Maybe that is what going to inspire us. Did you understand now? Yes, unreasonable means that does not have any motive, any purpose. It is passionate. It is from the heart rather than from the head. See, what happens is when I see this unreasonable word in the context in which everything is positive, that means it is not having the real unreasonable meaning that we have usually. Did you understand? So this positivity is very important. I need to understand that this word has been used in a positive sense rather than in a negative sense. For example, you might do something and I might say fantastic. Now, fantastic means basically unrealistic. But do I mean to say that you have literally done something unrealistic? No, you have done something positively unrealistic rather than negatively unrealistic. Did you understand? Now, you might tell a false story to fool me and I would say fantastic. In that case, it is having a negative connotation. But you might do something very good, very positive, and I might say fantastic in a very positive appreciation. Did you understand now, everyone, that this unreasonable is not in the negative sense? And that's why there's a question on this. And there's a question on this. Look at this question. Where question? Huh? Read the following statements. Which of the following can be associated with unreasonable? You're not recreating past glory because you want to break free from the past, right? So can I say these will go out? So three is common to both. Out of one and four, which one would you pick? है ना? Did you understand? Without connection and coherence is a negative word. Compelling means passionate. Did you understand now? समझ में आया? Why negative? So that means it has no connection, it has no coherence. Anna, do you think that this meaning is what is intended in that part? Hmm? When you say that there is no connection in my story, there is no coherence in my story, that means it is not making any sense. Yes or no? A short while back, I told you that many of you will take the meaning of the word unreasonable in the literal sense. And when you take the meaning of the word unreasonable in the literal sense, then you would go and mark a story without connection and coherence. Do you think a story without connection and coherence is going to be an inspiring story? I simply eliminate one because it has that negativity which is not going with the word brave story and inspiring story. Are you getting my point? When I say unreasonable, the sense in which the word unreasonable has been used, as I clearly said all the while, that the author says it is a brave story, the author says it is an inspiring story, then he says it's an unreasonable story. So do you think that he has used the word unreasonable in the general sense as we use the word? If the answer is yes, then the author is writing something paradoxical, because you can't have inspiration from something which is practically unreasonable, but you can have something inspirational from something which is not within the bounds of contemporary realistic things that we discuss, mundane. Are you getting my point? Otherwise we are again in the same trap. In the same trap is, then you would say that if 1 and 3 है ना, 1 and 3 है, 3 and 4 है, ठीक है. So this talks about a story that is meaningful and compelling. Compelling means what? Passionate, emotional, जो भी है उसका. Now if you
Sir,
ask, हाँ,
sir, but coherence means logical, right?
हाँ,
So,
कोहरेंस मीन्स, देखो वही तो कह रहा हूँ ना मैं कि व्हेन यू से कनेक्शंस एंड कोहेरेंस, अ स्टोरी विदाउट है ना ये. और ये बोलता है स्टोरी दैट इज मीनिंगफुल एंड कंपेलिंग फॉर ह्यूमैनिटी. सो व्हेन यू से दैट इट इज नॉट हैविंग एनी कोहेरेंस, कोहेरेंस मींस डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड, है ना,
सर
कोहेरेंट
मतलब
कैरेक्टर.
लिटरल मीनिंग नहीं लेना है, इंटरप्रेटेड मीनिंग लेना है.
हाँ, क्योंकि मैं पीछे वापस जाऊंगा, यहाँ पर आप बोलोगे कि सर यहाँ पर देखो मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ ना, कि व्हेन यू से अनरीजनेबल, then what is the meaning that you would give to it? Actual meaning. If you put this word in this context here, then what would be the meaning of the word unreasonable? That is what I am asking.
विदाउट एनी मोटिव, नो मोटिव, जीरो मोटिव इन्वॉल्व.
No motive involved, maybe emotional, maybe passionate, maybe something that is not from the mind but from the heart. That is what it could mean, right? But would I give this word unreasonable means meaningless? Would I dare to write this?
नो सर.
Why would you not dare to write? Because you would say that if it's a brave story, if it's a story that can inspire, then this is not the right meaning actually of this, not contextual meaning, right?
सर मगर अगर अनरीजनेबल है और मोटिव नहीं है उसमें, तो
Uh,
विदाउट कनेक्शन और कोहेरेंस भी तो हो सकता है ना, क्योंकि कोई मोटिव नहीं है मतलब. तो विदाउट कनेक्शन भी वो चीज हम लोग कर सकते हैं, राइट?
सो मैं उसको बेटर पॉजिटिव वर्ड दूंगा ना, फिर मैं ऑप्शन 4 में जाकर, यही तो मैं काम कर रहा हूँ ना.
मतलब अगर
मैं
ऑप्शन 4 नहीं रहता तो ऑप्शन 1
अब
वुड
फिर
हैव
तो मैं
बीन.
बोलता हाँ, मतलब फिर तो यही चूज करना है, बट व्हेन आई लुक एट फोर्थ हियर आई फील दैट दिस इज प्रिसाइसली व्हाट इज ट्राइंग टू इम्प्लाई, है ना.
ओके सर, गॉट.
समझ में ऐसी कंपेलिंग एंड मीनिंगफुल इन द सेंस फॉर ह्यूमैनिटी इन जनरल दैट ब्रेक्स फ्री फ्रॉम द पास्ट. When I put that the story is without connections and coherence, it literally means that it is actually blabbering. जब हम लोग बोलते हैं ना कोहेरेंस है ही नहीं, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मैं स्पीच देने आता हूँ, अब मैं स्पीच देने आता हूँ, मैं कुछ ही बोल रहा हूँ, समझ में नहीं, लोगों को नहीं आ रहा है। आई एम अटरिंग द वर्ड्स बट द वर्ड्स डोंट कम टुगेदर टू गिव एनी मीनिंग। Here, unreasonable does not mean that there is no reason, but it is basically the emotional tone to it. But if we do this passage by myself, I would have see देखो यार, ये अगर मैं या फिर मैं सॉल्व ही ना करूँ जैट के पैसेजेस, सही बताऊँ तो दैट इज द सेफेस्ट बेट फॉर मी। क्योंकि मेरे को लगता है यार कि ठीक है यार, 19-20 का रहता है इंटरप्रिटेटिव प्रॉब्लम। द आंसर गिवन इज डेफिनेटली 3 and 4 एंड आई एग्री विद द आंसर। बट टू मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट दिस इज नॉट व्हाट इज इम्प्लाइड इन द पैसेज बट दिस इज व्हाट इज इम्प्लाइड इज बेसिकली परफेक्टली एक इंटरप्रिटेटिव चीज हो जाती है फिर। इसको मैं लॉजिकली प्रूव नहीं कर सकता ना आपके सामने। Maybe that is the reason why many people say that that is very tough, because at some point of time it becomes very difficult for you to exercise your logical reasoning and say why is one better than four। तो मेरे पास दो ही चारा बचता है, या फिर मैं डिस्कस ही ना करूं कि भाई यार मैं नहीं करूंगा डिस्कस, जैड से पूछो जा करके, कोई बताएगा आपको भाई। बट व्हाट आई अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम दिस इज दैट बोथ 1 and 4 आर इन अ सेंस हैविंग द सेम मीनिंग। वन ऑल्सो मीन्स अनरीजनेबल, ठीक है, it also means unreasonable, this also means unreasonable। But if I look at the entire context, then there is a positive context to it. So when there is a positive context to it, why not pick the positive option than the negative option? मैं ये कह रहा हूँ आपसे। The author says brave, the author says unreasonable, है ना? Did you understand? And then the author says it is inspiring। So when I say that these three words are used in a, so that means this also is a positive word. He would not put it negative in the negative sense and put positive and positive like this. That means this word has not been used in this sense, the literal unreasonable sense. It has been used in the positive sense. That's why I picked the positive option rather than the negative option. Did you understand this? In the context, you read it positively. When you go and mark the answer, you read it negatively. Did you understand this? ब्रेव इज पॉजिटिव, इंस्पायरिंग इज पॉजिटिव, अनरीजनेबल यू से नहीं नहीं यार नेगेटिव कैसे होता है, तो पॉजिटिव। इफ इट इज पॉजिटिव देन व्हाई नॉट पिक द पॉजिटिव ऑप्शन which talks about compelling and meaningful rather than connect without connection and coherence। So I check out the negative one, I pick the positive one because the context is positive। I hope this is clear to you। Did you understand? ये है, आना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है ना यार, बिकॉज आई मीन आई एम पुटिंग सो मच एफर्ट। बहुत लोग तो इसको चिपका के चले जाएंगे आपको। दैट्स व्हाई आई फील दैट द आंसर इज करेक्ट, अदरवाइज मैं बोलता नहीं आंसर करेक्ट नहीं। What is a good story, by the way? Which one do you think is a good story out of all these five? Just tell me। जल्दी जल्दी बताओ। Which of the following best captures good story? Now, a good story is what? Look at what is a good story। Go back, check the basics first। है ना? Unite us, resolve common problems, motivate us from motivate us to stop bickering, right? Chalo, what do you think is a good story? India centric story, why not everyone? And why this can be a story? This is a depressive story। Why India? Why India? This is a good story, inclusive, right? So what is bad storytelling and not associated bad storytelling? E, yes or no? Because bad storytelling cannot have inclusivity in it. A good storytelling is inclusive. That's why you marked E and you eliminated B, A, B, C, D. Why? A good story is inclusive. It is common. Why only India, India? And secondly, A is equal to B is equal to C. None of them should be the answer. I have to pick from D and E then. Unity. And similarly here also, which is not associated with a bad story. A bad story cannot stop us from bickering. Some sections, not for everyone. It is not able to create a future image that is just the following is not associated. It is this is associated, right? This is associated. This is also associated. This is also associated. You might say, why not D? See, the last update was in the Industrial Revolution. Before that, many good stories must have come, many bad stories must have come. After that, there is no major update. So a bad storytelling for society must have happened before 21st century, not after that. Why? Because now we need an update. Did you understand everyone why E is the right answer? Painful, you know. SAT is always painful. I never enjoyed teaching SAT because I feel that there is no hardcore reasoning. It never happens that way. Use lots of subjective things. If you get that subjective thing quickly, you will get the answer. Otherwise, you will have a tough time. It has ना bad storytelling में inclusivity नहीं होती है ना. Because if good storytelling, uh, the author has not said what is bad storytelling, but he does say here, you know, that is why we desperately need a new story, a story that will not only help us make sense of the world today, but also unite us, a story that will motivate us to stop bickering and resolve our common problems, a story that will inspire us to achieve our common goals. You know, that basically means that a new story or a good story is something that is going to help us in this. So a bad story would be the exact opposite of this. है ना? If we need a new story and if we need a positive news story, that means it means that the author wants a good story to have all these things in it. That means a bad story will not have these things in it. That means a bad storytelling is only beneficial for some sections of the society, not for everyone. So can I say that a good story is definitely going to be inclusive? So which is not associated with a bad storytelling? It is inclusive. Why? Because it is inclusive associated with good storytelling. Did you understand this? This is for that people. Now, some Cat 25 people also have come. I hope everyone is clear about it. Okay, I will put the recording. You can watch it again, and things will become better, clearer once you have read. See, what happens is every discussion when it happens, most of you have read the passage only once. You read it 2 or 3 times, and again you will understand. Acha, haan, this is the right answer. Yes, bad storytelling doesn't have inclusivity because if it has inclusivity, then how is bad story different from good story then? Clear, everyone? Okay, so I will take some time to put the recording on YouTube. You all can watch it again. This is for people who are writing Zata, not for the Cat 25 people. Some have come. Yes, 26 questions were there, and only 26 questions were there. The first half has been done already. So 15 questions were there in the first part. 11 have been done in the second part. Yes, yes, yes. I will be taking more. अरे और भी है अभी तो और लूंगा ठीक है. I will take in the morning time by the way. चलो. चलो. I will take more up. I will take some DM now, and on weekends I will take again the cat the Z 2020.